Hi everyone. Facebook Live coaching time starts right now, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Very excited to be here again, and you are watching Coach Siwing doing live coaching. So this week, what happens? What's happening around the world? So I got a few questions, but I think sometimes I can see there's a theme for the week. So I picked three that I think I will try to answer today. That I think it's probably more in the same direction, so maybe easier for people, and I'm going to put those description on the question and description as well after this, because I find that I have the question here, but often because of what I say, I may actually change the description a little bit. So I hope all is well, and thank you for those who have seen last week, and thank you for liking it, and I hope they're helpful for you. What I'm doing here is really answering questions, and I think some of them are very personal and specific, but some of them you can really tell they can apply to a lot of people. So I hope a lot of people will find them helpful. So for those who haven't been to any coaches before, work with a coach, then perhaps this is a taste of how coaching is like. And for those who have been working with a coach, this could be also like a interesting way to pick up certain answers from other people. And I hope you will find what I say and do here useful. So anyway, so let's get into it. So first of all, I got a question about, so hi Siwing, I'm a mother of three, I have a day job, and I do have a passion and want to work on my business, which is to empower women through some natural skincare products. But I find it really hard to get my business take off, and sometimes I wonder whether it's actually the right thing to do, or maybe I have to wait until my kids are older. Sometimes I feel like giving up because I'm just so tired. I don't know whether it ever work out. Do you ever feel that way, and do you have any advice? So now here's the thing. First of all, I would like to congratulate you being so brave to, take on so much in life. And I feel a lot of us women here that we have a passion, and sometimes we're multi-passionate, that we may be passionate in the way how to bring up children in a way that we think is healthy and empowering and the right way to do parenting. And at the same time, we want to contribute to society, maybe through our business or writing or whatever way. So sometimes when you have that sort of desire within you and the life circumstance, it's definitely very demanding. I can hear your children, you have 3 kids. So yes, what I would say is that, number one, things would take longer because you just have less time than others. I'm a mother of one, and I can tell, with work and family commitments, sometimes you only have late nights and early mornings. So let me just go through on a practical level, and then maybe a bit more philosophical or maybe spiritual perspective. So I would say in the practical level, don't expect that you will have a full day, a whole day to go through your, say, business plan for your natural skincare, or do marketing uninterrupted for 4 hours or something. That often doesn't happen. Even in my case, I only have one child. I think you just need to be very smart and efficient about, you may have a 2-hour gap because your kid is having a soccer game or having a nap, and then you're trying to be as productive as possible within the 2 hours. You have to be disciplined in that way, because sometimes we just want to watch a movie and sit in front of TV for that 2 hours, I mean, myself included. But then you have to know, wow, when the kids come home or wake up from the nap, you won't have that 2 hours. So you got to be very efficient. And I also think that sometimes we fantasize that we'll have one day to work on our book or our business. Sometimes it doesn't get done that day. So it's best to break down a big project into smaller chunks. And whenever you got a chance to work on your passionate project, just use that smaller chunk. So first of all, I think a lot of times when we feel so shitty about our progress is because we don't do enough little steps, because you expect to find the time to do a big step. Sometimes doesn't happen. So I would say, if you take daily action, it will definitely make you feel better. And also you will see progress through time. And sometimes everyone wants success to come yesterday or tomorrow, but sometimes it takes a long time. And especially when, as you say, mother of three and you have a day job as well. So be patient with yourself. But I guarantee you, if you just take that half an hour daily to do one little thing for the business, whether it's, I don't know where you are in your business stage. I suppose that you have already started because you said it's hard to take off ground. So it may be a little something to do with your marketing or product range or talk to customer, whatever that is. It may be small, maybe just half an hour a day, but make sure you be consistent and you show up, and so people know you around. Because sometimes people, if you wait for that big chunk of time and that big chunk of time never happened, then people don't know you're still around. So sometimes it's just little effort that really matters. Certainly that works for me. That's my take in terms of, helping you. Sometimes when we think about all these things, we can get into a black hole or a corner, whatever, that is never going to work for me. I never have the time. Maybe I have to wait until the kids grow up. Maybe I have to wait until I make enough money. La 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 la. That someday may never come. So I would say, don't wait. Keep making steady progress. And whenever you feel shitty about how things are, allow yourself to feel that way, because sometimes, maybe your customer are not happy about something, maybe not your fault even, maybe just the delivery went wrong or something, I don't know. But we can easily feel, oh, it has been a shitty day. When that happens, allow yourself to feel it, but then pick yourself up, because people who are successful in the business world or in the world in general, it's not that they never fail, it's not that they never have challenge. They're being challenged. The fact is that they pick themselves up and, keep going. That's the difference. So, we all have bad days. And if you wonder whether it will take off, I tell you this, if you keep daily actions, you will definitely experience some level of success. Maybe not as fast and as high as you wish in 12 months' time, but you will move forward, that's for sure. Because you may find later on, after 6 months of consistent effort, that maybe natural skincare, I need to maybe refine the angle, or maybe I need to focus on online sales, or maybe I actually need to get a distributor, or whatever that is. You will find things to help you to improve your current business, and you only find those little ways to improve it by actually taking action, and sometimes through failure, sometimes through not so great launches, or sometimes through something is working for you and then you start to milk it more. So I would say keep taking consistent small effort. There's no overnight success. It doesn't happen. Those are just billionaires that you hear suddenly one night they become somebody. They have been working really hard for 10 years. That's the hard truth. And then overnight you heard about them. So I have never actually met or read any story about anyone who has overnight success without 10 years or so of hard working prior. Maybe 10 years is around enough number, but you need to put in your hours to hone in your skills. So don't get discouraged. We're all there. I applaud you. I clap my hands, give you a hug about the fact that your mother of three with a day job, and yet you want to pursue your passion, which is really a wonderful, admiring trait. And as I said, when I started my podcast, when I started the Conversations That Matter, it's really about cheering up other women, empowering other women through our success, through our challenges, through our failures. So for me, I would like to congratulate you stepping up and showing up, and I just want to help you and push you to continue doing it. And that's when magic happens. So be patient and keep going. And ask more questions. And you can go more specific questions as well. I think sometimes, because we're still rolling this out, so people can tend to ask quite general questions, but it can go more specific. And I will skip those very personal details. So I will present more like a summer up version. Now, the second question I have for today, it's about, so there was this question's about someone who has a day job that pays decent, like, good job, but she's always really feeling jaded and stuck at work. And then she thought that may not be the right job, and then she quit and we found a new job in between, go on holidays or adventure. She felt great and looked like, sort of soul searching kind of thing. And then she will run out of money and find another job, and then same pattern happen again, no matter which job. So how can she break this cycle is her question. So here's the thing. I think we sometimes have to be very honest with ourselves that Look, sometimes when we take time off, say go on a holiday or soul searching, those things have its value because it helps you to break you away from your environment so you can really think in pause and, have different perspective and look at life. I think that's great. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, we actually need to ask deeper questions. So sometimes when you go on such journey, you may have a great time, doing holiday things and take your mind away from things rather than actually put your mind deeper into things. And that's what happens then too. And then when the time comes that the vacation's over, we go back to our real life, so to speak, real world, and then you decided to look for a new job, but then it does not actually change the circumstance, the situation, and it is all internal. So if someone feels very unsatisfied at work, I often ask them, tell me more about it. Is it the work relationships? Is it about the nature of the work? Or what it is really bothering you? When we go deeper, often we hear very different things than what appear in the surface. So relationship with colleagues often is actually also about your internal struggle, whether it's about the nature of work or where you are in life. And these are just reality sort of reflect back to you. So I often think go away. It's a great thing, but don't try to take your mind away from things. In fact, give yourself the time to look deeper into things. It's what is needed. And I have met many clients who have similar scenario where job after job never really felt the job really nurtured the soul. And then so they just keep on repeating the pattern. And then sometimes they think, well, my career hasn't progressed as much as I wished because I have been, doing this. And yes and no. Sometimes I think you can't force it because if your heart is not into something, it's very hard to, build a really successful and meaningful career when you actually don't really like the nature of what you do. That said, but if you keep on repeating the cycle of get a job and then feeling bored, quit, and then find another job, when you keep on repeating, you can't grow something if you keep on leaving, is it? So there's a catch-22. So what I suggest my client to do tend to be this way. If you have been reading the book by Sir Ken Robinson, he talks about elements, which is finding something that you're naturally good at and you also really enjoy. Now, when you're in your elements, you really lose yourself. You forget time. You deeply connected to your soul. It's really being you. You're doing you. Now that's great, but sometimes that when you're in your element, it could be about playing guitar or music, whatever that is. But you don't think that it can be your profession, or you already have a profession that you may not want to change, and that's fine. The point is then spend time in that element so that you are fulfilled in that way. But then sometimes people think, how can I, sort of make my passion into a profession and a career? So that in that, then I would take usually personal advice, I would take a slow approach, because you may want to try it out in different ways. So you may, I don't know what kind of example I can give. Okay, say massage therapist. You really feel like doing body work to help others. So you say you're having an office job, but you really want to learn massage. So you want to learn massage, you may start to offer massages in a clinic or something, maybe part-time or even a weekend. You start by doing and learning, and then if you eventually really for sure this is what you want to do, and then if things start flowing, you may start to have clients, and then you see you can really transition. Then I would take the approach of a slow transition to then you quit your job and put all your effort into building a massage practice. So that's just my general approach. I think you need to test out your passion, whether you can move your passion into a profession. And while you're testing it, you don't have to, throw yourself, or I mean, some people like that, throw yourself in, quit your job, completely throw yourself into it. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's not the advice I tend to give, because I think sometimes there's a lot of refining happening. So maybe after learning massage, or after 6 months or working with people, you read actually what I'm really interested is to work with aromatherapy oil, like essential oil. I'm more interested in the medicinal way of using them, or whatever it is. You may fine-tune yourself and you discover more. So I think allow yourself without that financial stress about making it into a profession so that to pay the bills will actually give you a wider perspective, more open with different possibilities, and just to learn and absorb and get experience. And I think sometimes it's such a common mistake is that people jump into something and they have to pay the bills, right? The rent and the food bills doesn't stop coming. So you got to make the ends meet. So it becomes very stressful and challenging. So you can't even enjoy it. It's better to, in my opinion, the way I approach it and the way I talk to my client is that you definitely go and investigate. You definitely go and learn and do and explore. Instead of spending your weekend hanging out with friends, maybe you will have to take the time to commit into your passion to see whether it can be a profession. But I'd rather you to do that than quit your job immediately and throw yourself into something you're not 100% sure, because it may affect the way you learn, hone in your arts. And I don't want that to happen. And sometimes people get frustrated and discouraged because sometimes you may not be able to build a clientele within 3 months or even less. So give unnecessary pressure will hurt actually your passion. And when did I mention last week? I don't remember. But in Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert mentioned that the way she approached writing, I mean, I was hands down, that's the best thing I ever heard, is that writing, let me take care of you. As in, she will work her day jobs so that she can actually afford doing her writing, because she treat writing so sacred that that's something she treasure. She will love writing, so that's who she is. So she rather take a day job as a waitress so that she actually have time and space to focus on writing, not for money, but for writing. I think that's really important. If you find yourself passionate about, for example, massage or aromatherapy, you go and learn it. You go and flow with your passion. Don't force your passion into a money-making machine, because that's going to hurt you and your passion. But find a way to have the balance. And if that works out, then of course, you would naturally quit your day job when things start moving along that direction. You can see, I mean, I'm not making 100% my income, but I'm almost 80%, 75%. I think I can make do. That is a game changer. And then you will be 100% into your passion, and I'm sure that 25% will be very quickly to come along. So that's the way I advise people when they keep on repeating this cycle of finding a job, don't like it, getting really bored, want to quit, find another job. No, really take time to look deeper. What really interests you? What is your passion? What is your element? What you're naturally good at, naturally interested in? Maybe things that your parents or your friends, when your kids tell you that you can't do that because it doesn't make money, so you get discouraged to explore. Now you're an adult, spend that time to explore. Then when you find your passion, then test it out. Don't just jump into the deep end. And so many people, because they're so, how can I say, tired of their day job, when as soon as they find a glimpse of what could be their passion, they just can't wait to quit the day job. And that, again, it really can hurt the future of changing your passion into your profession. So don't rush, because this is life. You can't rush through it, because if you do, it's actually going to affect the quality of it. So that's my take on it. I mean, personally, it's the same for me, because I don't know whether you guys know, I started out, actually, the first thing I learned was energy healing, intuition, and reading oracle cards and all these things to tune in and tap in and turn on my inner guidance system and all that. And there was a lot of that. And there was, I didn't do that for making a living. I did it for fun, for interest and exploration. The next thing, I was doing hypnosis. I was taking a professional course on to hypnotize people and to past life regression, and I did it for quite a while. Like, again, not a day job, but I just do it because I love it. And weekends, holidays, nights, things like that. And then I came across coaching as the language, as the tool that I really fell home with. And then I combined everything I've learned. And even that, my coaching has also evolved over time. So, sometimes it's not what you think it is. It's something a little bit further down the track, but you can't rush to find the answer. Sometimes it's like need to know basis. If you're not there yet mentally, as in maturity wise, you're not going to get to know the answer won't reveal to you, because you actually have to take the steps to learn different things, hone in the skills, and have that life experience before you actually get to hear the thing that you really, really going to focus a 10-year, 20 years effort into or become your legacy. It often doesn't come, in the right first instance. I mean, I think a few weeks ago, I wrote a blog post or some on my newsletter as well about the great poet. Suddenly I just lost her name in my mind. It will come back to me. And again, she didn't set out to be a great poet or playwright. She just start writing, and it becomes something that she enjoys, and people ask her to speak, and new things start to open. But sometimes we don't know what is lying ahead and in front of us. So calm down and just step by step, and don't, maybe instead of taking the next vacation, think about maybe you should just spend the time to think about what are the actions that I can take so that I can find my passion a little bit more, and then practice a little bit more and learn it. Maybe that's the thing. If you definitely need to go away, and then so do that, but really conscious about using the time to hone in what's that you really want to do, rather than keep on having the pattern. I think sometimes we need to have very deep and not confrontational conversation with ourselves, but have to be honest. And sometimes working with a coach is good with that. I think we maybe challenge you to ask you those hard questions, but in a loving and supportive way. Not like, what do you think you're doing? Like, you're not wasting your time. Never like this, but asking you something maybe you feel uncomfortable to ask yourself, and sometimes only someone else observe and can say, maybe there is something there that maybe you should explore. I often find being a coach is helping people to find the blind spot, because we all have that. So that's why coaches also use other coaches, because we are so in a way looking at what we want to do in a very linear way, and then people look at what we're doing is often from a different angle, so they may have a very different perspective. So finding a blind spot would be really useful. And when you see patterns, if you can see yourself repeating patterns, I bet you your best friend know your patterns better than you. So talk to your best friend as well. And that's my answer to that. So keep writing to me, let me know how you go, and have that really challenging conversation with yourself about why you keep repeating finding a job and then getting bored and want to move away. You need to have the conversation, and what trigger you to start this process as well. And often it's age, or often when we see life is more than just having a day job and then going out at night, or something very mundane that what everybody seems to do. When we feel there's something more we want to give birth to, or something we want to create, then we want to start this conversation. And then when we want to escape as well, because sometimes what the vision we may have is so big and it's so overwhelming, and then you start to think, who am I thinking that I can change the world or do something this big? And then we get scared, and then we don't want to think about it, and then we find different ways to mimic what we really want to do. Play small. A lot of women has that, because so there's a lot of social conditioning, and we're grateful for any little success, but instead of demanding we actually gonna do big, great, meaningful, amazing things, sometimes I think we are so used to having this playing small energies. Only recently there's a lot more women stepping up and having the leadership in that sense that you know what, we want more and we meant to be more. That energy is relatively new. I mean, in the contemporary times. I mean, again, if you come to my workshops, you must heard me like a broken record talking about how, we first have goddess, the first deity being worshipped is actually women, because not only we have fertility, we also sort of center of the village, and women are often wise and nurturing and creative, and they were the one who hold order, wisdom. Anyway, so it's relatively new in that sense, that actually the patriarchy history that we know, but it has been the most powerful in recent history. So we are very used to that sort of patriarchy values and energy. So times to step up and don't play small anymore. You may take small action step, like I was talking about the first question. Sometimes it's consistent small effort that pays off. Action step, each of them may be small, but add them all together, it becomes huge. And 1,000 miles start with one single step. So we're making those small steps and small actions does not mean we don't have a big vision or we eventually will get into big great results. It's just that daily we may not do leaps and bounds every week, but through time and consistent effort and efforts and also working with other people collectively, we can go leaps and bounds. So don't play small, think big, but do take small daily actions. Last question for today. Oh yes, so that's a good one. I mean, I get that quite a lot too. So how do you so this is a person who obviously just finished some sort of coaching training. So she's asking, how do you get your first paid coaching clients? So because learning coaching is one thing, but how to get clients and get paid for it, it's another. So obviously through whatever coaching school you go to, often towards the end they ask you to do pro bono coaching and to get experience. So you call up all your friends and people that will may be interested in trying some coaching, and I think that's a great way to start out and practice. And you never know what is something for you until you actually go out and do it. You can fantasize it all day long, all year long, but until you actually do those practicals, you don't know, and you may think you're very good or very bad, and then it turns out to be completely opposite of your expectations. So definitely do pro bono practice. I definitely encourage that. Then there's a point where you think you have done enough pro bono, then how am I going to get people to start to pay me because I have been, never been charged before and so forth. So obviously it happens to me as well. Everybody had the same journey. So okay, so I'm slightly different. As I told you before, my journey started as the energy healing, the reading, the oracle cards, as well as pastoral regression. So I was doing different things sort of for fun, learning as I was going and practicing. So already have been sort of putting myself out there doing things. So I had no problem start charging people and say, hey, you know what, I'm also now a coach. I'm starting out as a coach, but I've done all this before. I'm offering coaching service, and then the client may get a reading or healing or regression, but also a coaching. So then started to blend in. So for me to change from pro bono coach to paying coach, it was quite seamless, quite obvious. But I understand that for a lot of people, it may be if you didn't have other services to offer or working in a clinic as such, then suddenly become a coach. That say you work in the office and then now you have a coaching qualification, you have done some pro bono, then how are you going to get actual paying client after you run out all your friends and family? Now, I personally like the suggestion and the way to run events because I mean, I like to talk clearly. So I have been running and talking events, talking events for a long time. It's big and small, it doesn't matter. And then I think through that, you can talk to people and tell them what you do. And then you see whether people may be interested. So I found event is one way to get coaching clients, or you work in a space where there's some clinic and there are some places that you can book a room, and that could be one way. But obviously it could be hard if you don't have lots of walk-in traffic to start having paying clients. So I personally like the ideas of doing events because people get a sense of who you are, what you do, and then you can, at the end of the event, you can offer, I'm also doing coaching, so see whether you can get interest there. It's also a good way to build your list on your email list. So I like doing events. And also I think once you start coaching, even the friends and family pro bono, because of word of mouth, that's the most powerful marketing tool. People tell people. So that's another way. So you can keep doing pro bono until you really run out. I would say keep a cap on how many pro bono you want to do or under what circumstance. I still do some coaching for people who completely cannot afford I mean, I don't call it scholarship because it's not scholarly, but some aid. So I do, like, sometimes I would do things for free because I know this is going to help somebody that cannot afford it. So I still do something for free, not 100% always every client has to pay. But then the majority is paying client because that's how you run a business, right? But I would say after you run out the number of pro bonos you find it reasonable to do, then through the word of mouth, then you will then charge those people. Or you can find a place, maybe partner with some other people, so you can, find a place that you can start offering your service. I find doing talks or going to meetups and meet different people and network and find opportunities to do talks and events is excellent way to practice your speaking, as well as, speaking in this sense. Sometimes I think it's about talking about what you do, because some people graduate, myself included, from modality. You actually don't know how to talk about what you do. You actually need to practice this. Like people ask you, what is coaching, or how do you coach, how the way you coach different from other people. You need to practice the way you talk about your business, your service as well. So I would say go for events, go to some other people's event to see how people do it, and then you can also run your own events. So I think that's really helpful. I also like to partner with people that I know to do events, because I think it's kind of more fun sometimes to inject some new fresh energy and materials into my workshops. So I often partner with people in my events. So that could be something that you can consider. Or a lot of times when you're starting out, that you will have to really, maybe you will network and maybe find people and colleagues in your coaching school, in a group, that maybe you can do something together. You may offer something for free from your part, but gain an experience. So I think you got to be creative, because so many people have been doing the same thing, and if you go on Facebook or internet, you'll find tons of suggestions. But I would say, look at things around you already, how you can actually be creative and leverage that. So if you've got friends to do events and talks, maybe offer that you can, do a little section there for free, but get experience to talk, and maybe offer your services there. Find different ways to help others, the same time that maybe practice your speaking, and also a way to launch your service. But be creative, and don't just rely on advertising or paying, say, Facebook. I mean, they have its place, of course, but sometimes it's just easier to start with things and people than just blindly think, I'm just putting Facebook ad or Google ad out there and that's going to give me lots of leads. Sometimes not so, but also consistently put content and what you do, your experience, to share with people, because I think a lot of times you actually have to spend the time to build your skill, hone in your skills, but also build up the trust with people, so people feel they know you. So, if I have this problem, or if I have this issue, this person will be able to help me with it, because they kind of know what you do. So that itself is a lot of work too. So people need to get to know you. And these days, sometimes, even though we got social media that supposedly help us to connect, it does. But also, because there's so many of us that can be found online, it's harder to stand out. So it itself can be such a week-long conversation. But my personal principle is that find things that you're comfortable with. Maybe look at people, events that you could get into, places that you may be able to offer your service. Go for things that you already know is tangible, and then do also some research online, but don't only focus on online marketing, because sometimes it may not be as effective as you imagine, because ultimately you need to let people to get to know you, and you would need to take a lot of effort to do that online. But if you can go to in-person events, then people can get a feel of you much quicker. So that's my opinion, and is how it works for me. So these are the 3 questions. So half an hour go by so fast. So now how it works, how it rolls. Just email me the question or PM me if you like, and I will try to answer them as fully as possible. You can see I'm kind of talk more than what the questions sometimes ask, because I think it benefits a range of different people. I hope you enjoy this live coaching session, and I will be back next Monday at 7 p.m. Australian time. So, by the way, I cannot not talk about this. So Easter is coming, so we went shopping the other day, and I think this decoration is so cute. So I thought, instead of seeing me and my desk every week, I trying to make it fun for you guys. So Easter eggs. Well, going to have Easter Friday is this Friday. So enjoy Easter Friday, and Easter Monday, maybe, I don't know what else. Anyone's going to watch this, but I will talk to you again next week, and have a wonderful week. See you.